You step into a room and meet someone who barely says a single word. Now, I want you to imagine that dynamic as a high-stakes psychological chess match. Manipulators almost always assume that quiet people are just going to be easy targets, right? Like pawns they can effortlessly push across the board. But then they watch in total frustration as literally every single trick and mind game they try just falls apart. And actually, it's not because the quiet person is physically stronger or magically smarter. It's because they possess a deeply ingrained, highly protective habit that most of us have completely forgotten about. So let's dive into this. Why on earth do manipulators so vastly underestimate the power of silence? Well, think about it. Manipulation is essentially a game of prediction. The whole thing completely relies on someone being able to accurately predict your emotions, your fears, and your immediate reactions. If a manipulator knows what makes you tick, they know exactly how to pull your strings and control you. But this is exactly what quiet people naturally hide. By holding back and not reacting outwardly, they completely deny the manipulator the raw emotional data they absolutely need to operate. Which brings us to our very first core defense mechanism. Defense 1. Observe before you trust. This right here is the absolute foundation of the silent strategist's playbook. Instead of jumping right into the fray to make their presence known, quiet people just sit back. They watch. They listen. Just think about the stark contrast in a normal everyday conversation. On one side, you have the average person who is desperately trying to be liked. They overshare personal stories, eagerly jump in with opinions, and absolutely scramble to fill any awkward silence with words. They are an open book. But the quiet person, they operate entirely differently. They aren't trying to impress you. Instead, they're hyper-focused on understanding you. They are essentially letting the other person do all the heavy lifting while they quietly gather intelligence. And what exactly are they gathering intelligence on? Well, they're looking for those tiny, subtle details that reveal a person's true character. Quiet people notice who constantly interrupts others. They catch the people who subtly shift and change their entire personality depending on who just walked into the room. They spot those who smile without any genuine warmth actually reaching their eyes. And they definitely flag anyone who is just a little too eager to gain your trust right out of the gate. Catching these micro-actions instantly destroys the manipulator's biggest advantage. You see, manipulators depend on gathering info on you while hiding themselves. But when you are the one observing, you flip the script entirely. So let's see how this builds into our next strategy. Defense 2, the power of the pause. This second defense mechanism is really all about internal control. To understand why it's so incredibly effective, we kind of have to fundamentally rethink what manipulation actually is. It doesn't usually begin with outright lies. Actually, it begins with triggering emotion. A manipulator's ultimate goal is to make you act on a sudden burst of feeling, like a flash of anger, immense guilt, fear, or deep insecurity, rather than calm logic. Because let's be real, when you are highly emotional, you make impulsive decisions. And those impulsive decisions always benefit the manipulator. So how exactly does the quiet person defend against this emotional hijacking? It happens in a really simple 3-step internal process playing out in real time. Step 1, the manipulator pokes at a vulnerability, and an emotion is triggered. Step 2, and this is where the absolute magic happens, the silent pause. Instead of lashing out, agreeing, or giving in, the quiet person just waits. That small, highly intentional moment of silence gives them the vital time they need to actually think instead of simply feeling, which brings us to step 3, logic returns. In that pause, the emotional wave crests and falls, and rational thought takes the steering wheel back. And here is the critical vulnerability of any manipulator. Their tactics absolutely fail because they completely rely on instant emotional reactions, not thoughtful responses. I mean, if a manipulator aggressively provokes you and you just sit there thoughtfully looking at them in total silence, their weapon is completely neutralized. Patience and the intentional use of the pause are the ultimate psychological shields against manipulative pressure. Now we reach the true climax of the psychological duel. Defense 3, weaponized silence. This final habit is the one manipulators absolutely dislike the most. It all comes down to a very basic, very common human quirk. Most people feel incredibly awkward when a conversation gets quiet. Think about it in your own life. When there's a sudden lull in a conversation, what do most people do? They panic. They rush to explain themselves, they start rambling, and they end up revealing significantly more than they ever intended simply to avoid that heavy discomfort of silence. This is the beautiful, ironic twist of weaponized silence. On one side, you have the manipulator, who fully expected you to crumble under their pressure. But instead, they're the one who feels the profound discomfort of the quiet. To fill that void, they start rambling, and eventually they reveal their own hidden motives, insecurities, and true intentions. Meanwhile, the quiet person simply lets the silence exist. They don't feel any pressure at all to break it. Ironically, the quiet person takes complete control of the whole dynamic simply by speaking less, effectively forcing the manipulator to expose themselves. Which leads us perfectly to our final takeaway. The takeaway: choosing when to speak. We've talked deeply about defensive tactics today, but this is the true definition of personal strength. Real strength comes from knowing exactly when to speak and when to remain silent. Being quiet doesn't automatically make someone a victim, and it certainly doesn't mean they are just hiding from the world. In a culture where literally everyone feels pressured to react instantly, explain their every move, and aggressively prove a point, weaponized silence is calculated, undeniable power. So let's summarize the quiet path. If you want to protect yourself from manipulation, adopt these 3 core habits. First, observe before you judge. Step back and just let others reveal exactly who they are. Second, think before you respond. Use that incredibly powerful pause to let logic take over. And third, refuse to let others control your emotions. Stopping impulsive reactions is exactly how you force a manipulator's true intentions out into the open. Silence isn't about losing your voice, guys. It's about choosing the absolute perfect moment to use it. I'll leave you with this final, provocative question to really chew on. When was silence your smartest decision? Have you ever held your tongue during a really tense moment and later realized it was the absolute best move you could have possibly made? Let's discuss it. Share your own experiences down in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this explainer and want more deep, structured dives into psychology and human behavior, make sure to subscribe. Because remember, while the loudest person in the room is usually fighting for attention, the quietest person usually understands what's really happening. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I'll see you in the next explainer.